Hey everyone, Sycra in here, and I'm doing a speed painting, and I'll be talking about stuff that's not related. So, what I wanted to talk about today is knowing what you should do in life. Like, when you're gonna make a decision, um, how do you know what's the right decision to make for you? And I often get emails from people asking me if I could give them advice on what school to go to or what career to take, like major life decisions. And it's really not for me to tell you what to do. Like, I can't give that advice. Um, but I think the person who can give you that advice is yourself. I think we know a lot more than we think we do, and the problem tends to be that we're just not listening to ourselves, or at least this is how it's been for me. Um, because it used to be that I would make decisions based on my thoughts, so I would think a lot. I might be offered a job. It's like, okay, well, this pays pretty well and it's doable and all these things. And I think about it, and this seems like a good choice to make. But I would notice that sometimes, or often, I would get like a feeling of resistance. I would procrastinate a lot. I wouldn't do or want to do the work when I was doing it, or when I was doing it, I'd feel miserable. Sometimes it would be that after I finished it, I felt drained and exhausted, but not in a good way. And it was this resistance to that thing that had appeared right when I would read the first email or whatever. Like, let's say I got an email offering me that job, I would get like a feeling inside. And it would be this feeling, as I said, of resistance, of not wanting to do this. And then I would sort of talk myself out of that. And I didn't think I could really turn down the bad jobs or in other things as well. When I got a bad gut feeling, um, I would always come up with good reasons why it was important to do that thing, um, even though I felt a bit of resistance. Even when it came to things like studying, and I would be devoting a lot of hours into studying art and practicing and things, and I would sometimes feel this resistance, and it would be like, well, pushing through that, and the idea of no pain and no gain. And I'm not 100% sure that it's a bad idea to push through it in the short term anyway. Like, that's probably necessary. But for long term things, I feel that those things that I was initially feeling not too good about always ended up being bad choices at the end. Um, well, yeah, that's what ended up being. Anyway, being redundant. But I've started to listen to that a lot more, especially in the past couple of years. Listening to this feeling and not doing things that I felt like I didn't want to do. And the fear was initially that, well, if I don't do these things, maybe I'm just going to become this lazy person who doesn't do anything, because who wants to work, right? Like, it's not, well, maybe some people, but for me, I don't know, maybe I'm kind of lazy, or at least I like to relax a lot. I'd like to take life kind of easy. I'm not really a fan of high stress and things. And so I feared that, okay, so if I don't push myself, I will just be this lazy person who doesn't do anything. And so I'd always force myself to do stuff I didn't want to do. And what I noticed is that there's two forms of resistance, and they're different, but they manifest in the same way. One is and they manifest as, for me anyway, as gut feelings, or sometimes a tightness in my chest. And it tends to come, the signal comes in the beginning, and then it usually doesn't come back for a long time. And it's usually after I talk myself into doing something or out of doing something that signal fades away. But it's just a really quick initial feeling of what this thing is. And so the two types of resistance are, one is when you're thinking about doing something, like I should draw, and then you get a resistance, and that's where people tend to procrastinate. I'm not really talking about this kind of resistance, and I actually ignore this resistance. The thing that I'm thinking of is when you're actually doing something and then it's bad. So not thinking, because sometimes I'll be like, I don't want to, or I don't feel like drawing, and I'll feel like sort of a resistance to doing it, and then I'll do it and I'll actually feel a lot better. And it's the same with going to the gym or things like I don't really want to, and then after it's like, no, I'm glad I did that. So that resistance that comes from like thinking about things, I don't really pay attention to that. But for instance, if I was in the gym and I was starting to feel really bad, or I started drawing and I was getting a sense of resistance, that's when I would pay attention to it. And what's happened is, because I've stopped doing those things that I feel I don't want to go towards, I've just been left by a process of elimination with things that don't bother me. And I've actively pursued those, and it's kind of scary because you don't know if it's going to work out, or if it's going to, like, am I going to, okay, I'm going to do this new style. Is this going anywhere? Because for me, I did more painting stuff before, and that was going somewhere. And it's like, okay, this is a thing. I'm getting work from painting, but I felt this feeling like I don't like doing this. This isn't interesting to me. I didn't like looking at my galleries. I didn't like looking at the work I was doing. It just felt, I'm not, this isn't me. I don't feel good. I don't like this. I don't like me as, almost like I was looking at myself from the outside as a character in a story, and it's like, I don't want to be that character. And so and this is, I get that I have the luxury to do this because, I don't know, it's not that sometimes you're just in a bad situation and you don't have the choice to be picky and to say, well, I don't feel like doing this. Sometimes you just have to do it. I think, yeah, there's a lot of people in that situation. But if you do have the luxury of choosing to do what you want to do, I would really pay attention to this feeling of resistance. And it's important in all decisions, I think. I think you can tell usually a lot about people, whether you'd get along with them, jobs and things. It seems to work very well. And what else? I think, yeah, that's the main thing. It's just to listen to your gut and give it at least credit that it's not stupid. Like, if you feel something off, what I've found anyway is that my gut tends to be way smarter than my not gut, my brain, whatever's making me talk right now. I tend to notice a lot of things intuitively, and I use this in drawing as well. I've mentioned this where I don't have a visual memory, so I instead of looking at the page and trying to find stuff, I will feel it in my gut. Like, I'll put my pen on the page and draw a line, And when it feels, as long as there's none of that resistance or tension, I'll keep doing what I'm doing. As soon as there's tension, I'll stop. And it's like, okay, and that prevents me from making bad lines. And I think this is developed from just life experience, that you start getting a sense of things and patterns and how things end up. Now, the other thing is to consider what you really want. I think a lot of people talk themselves into believing they are something that they want to be, but it's not necessarily what they are. For instance, maybe you can draw pretty well, but you want to be a concept artist, you want to be a painter, you want to be this and that. And it's not necessarily because you really want to be that, but it's more that you look at other people and you admire that and you think, well, this is the industry. This is what everyone talks about. This is what I should be. And I think that's not a good reason to do anything. I've seen some artists who are, they work for studios and they have sort of a rosy idea of freelance work where you don't have a boss. You just take whatever jobs you want or don't take the jobs you don't want. And when they get out of the studio, they don't really produce that much. And I think it's that you've got to be someone that's doing the thing. Like, oftentimes the thing you should be doing is a thing you're already doing. Just commit to it and do it better. So the people that do well in the freelance thing, from a studio job, working for a company, to being freelance, are the people that they're in the studio job and then they do their own personal work anyway. And then when they move into freelance, like, yeah, you're already the type of person that likes to do that. And for me, I'm sort of, whenever I think of working in a studio, I get that resistance feeling, like, I don't want to be doing this. But for a long time, I really felt bad that I wasn't working for a studio. I would look at my peers and it's like, well, they're working for this company or that company. It was like, man, I should be doing that, without even thinking, do I want to? And I don't know. There's like one company I wanted to work for when I was young, which was Squaresoft, which is now Square Enix. And even that, I don't want to anymore, just because, like, I don't like the games they're making. I liked the games they were making in the late 90s. That was why I wanted to work for them. But it's this thing of understanding, what do you want? What do you really want? Because it's not that you want to work for a company. It's that you want to work for or you want to work on something that is quality. You want to work on a game that is like a game that you would fall in love with, you would want to play. You want to create artwork for a movie that you really would enjoy watching. Something like that, instead of basing it on, I want to work for this studio because they did this work. It's like, no, usually studios are in it for the money and tend to, if they're in the beginning, they're creating very successful pieces that are more daring. Later on, as they get more established, they're less likely to create that stuff. No, I don't know. Maybe that's too much personal opinion. Yeah, probably. But yeah, pretty much said what I wanted to say, and I hope it helped somebody. Just believe in yourself, I guess. Trust your gut. Do that stuff, because here's the thing. When you are doing what you want to do, so I mentioned the downside, so I'm sorry, this is getting kind of negative. Was getting kind of negative. I'm going to change that. But when I was doing stuff that I didn't want to do, I felt that resistance. When I'm doing the stuff I'm doing right now, the stuff that has no resistance, it feels good. I feel good drawing. I can draw a lot, and not be tired, not be bored. It's good when you follow what you're supposed to do. So I guess that's the reward. It's like, you have to take a bit of faith. You have to push through the fear, but it's worth it if you can make it to the other side. And if you are in a situation where that is impossible, I totally understand. And I think, well, yeah, it's not good to be unrealistic either. Neither is it good to be one of these people who I've seen a lot of, who have huge dreams and they're not doing anything to go towards those dreams, to make it happen. It's like, I want to be a this. I want to do this. I want to do that. Well, are you doing it? Are you doing it right now? Because if you're doing it right now, then yeah, sure, follow it. Do that thing. That makes sense. But if it's this thing that it's a dream, it's in the back of your mind, and you've never realized it, well, don't devote everything to it right away. Try it. See if you really like it. Because there are so many things I've tried that I thought, I will really like this. This looks cool. This is who I want to be. And it was not that way. And painting was a big one of those things that I thought, like, man, I like looking at paintings. I like painting so much, and I don't like doing them. And this speed painting, I guess it's, I mean, I like doing some paintings, the weird stuff that's not planned, but not the really rendered, detailed, photorealistic stuff. It doesn't interest me. So, but if it interests you, that's cool, and just do that. And yeah, believe in yourself. Huh? Okay? So, I don't know, the sound quality's different. I'm in a different place recording, and my throat's kind of sore. So, I'm gonna stop now. But I hope this video helped you. And that's thanks for watching in Romanian.